Hello again, welcome back to Think Rugby podcast. What a weekend of rugby it just was. I was absolutely entertained, to say the least, to say the very least. How are you, Andy? How did you find this weekend?
Yeah, this weekend it was something else. I didn't think I would ever see what I saw this weekend.
That is, I couldn't agree more. It's absolutely sublime. You know what? Let's not hesitate. Let's just fire straight into it. I cannot wait to actually speak about this game. The Bokkes vs Australia. Holy moly! I didn't quite put down the first half score. I'm pretty sure it was 22 points to 5 or something like that. Half time score could have been. I think it was actually.
Yeah, it
Holy
was.
shit! Did not expect the Bokkes to score 0 tries in the second half, or 0 points even in the second half, and for Australia to score 33 unanswered points, or 38 unanswered points overall. What a bloody game it was. What the hell went right, or what the hell went wrong?
I know, yeah, I just, wow, I couldn't believe the result myself.
So, well, I'm going to start. The Bokkes started extremely strong within, what was it? I think they were our score, this board was catching up with the clock, the time in the clock. It was that, like, they were that far ahead so early on. Like, okay, Australia got a try just before half time. That first half just seemed like a blur. And I can't lie, did I think I was going to turn the TV off? Yes. I thought, oh my goodness, I can't face a 40 points to nil or anything remotely close like that. But I'm thankful that I didn't, because what was to unfold was 6 back-to-back tries from Australia, which, if you're an international side or a side at all, amateur, international, semi-pro, you'd be absolutely gutted to concede 6 tries on the trot. Never mind Bokkes, who are the defending World Cup champions. So, try scores itself. Well, you got Tom Wright, you got Sue Lee, you got Wilson with 2. Wilson, can I just say, leading from the front, superstar. I mean, I know he's a captain for a very, very good reason as well. Sue Lee, the young lad, shining. You got Tom Wright, who's in his prime, who's playing his best rugby just now. Again, just absolute superstar. Got like a hot knife through butter, cutting through that South African defence during open play and also structured play as well. What did you make of it, Andy? What's your kind of roundup of the whole game as a whole, other than fucking hell, that was absolutely brilliant?
When you put that thing on the screen just now, a screenshot I took from Twitter, that kind of sums up how much I think both of us would enjoy, or our feelings about the full-time result. I got to be honest though, the start of the game, it was 93 seconds before the Springboks got the first try, and I was like, oh, that's Joe Schmidt's game plan ripped up just like that.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, they went 22 up after 18 minutes. Sia Khaleesi swan dive underneath the posts, and I was like, this is going to be a long day for Australia. But I had to say, I was just like, it's maybe not all gone. I mean, anybody would get monstered by the Bokkes in the scrum, but certainly in open play, especially the line out, I was like, they've got a bit of a platform there to build from.
Well, I've got an apology to make, because I was being a little bit witty and I said I'll back Australia and say they scored 4 tries, which I thought was being very generous and a little bit risky saying that. And then, I mean, to be fair, up until maybe the 35th minute when they scored the first try, I thought I was proving myself right in that statement. But as we know, the second half unfolded and I was very, very wrong. The Springboks bomb squad, that obviously didn't come into full effect. I reckon in terms of substitutions, I've not taken a note of the times of substitutions, but was it anything different, did you feel, or did you generally just feel like Australia, Jesus, it's going to be shit journalism? Do you think Australia's just awesomeness and just willingness to play, just a quality brand of rugby, just was too much for the Springboks, just overpowered them?
I'm not sure if it was all down to Australia. I think the Springboks really got seduced by their own scoreline, and they really just, it's whatever. They did that, lifting up in the middle of open play again, and I was like, oh, really, boys, you're fucking losing here. You need to switch on and get to business. But the longer the game went on, the better Australia were getting. I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't for Peter Steph du Toit, God knows where the Springboks would be. They were so off of it.
Could have been
They
worse.
they were as good.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The players in particular, because I've got one player in particular which I'm convinced that he won't be named in next week's starting lineup or even on the bench. I think he'll be completely omitted from the squad. And I think we've got the same name in mind. We're going to start with Mane and end with Lubbock. And now I feel quite bad. I do feel quite bad.
The thing is, as well, we can't be too nasty about him because last week we both kind of alluded to the fact he can't do goal kicking. He was pretty solid with his goal kicking on Saturday. He only missed one of his kicks, and I was like, wow, what has happened?
Yeah, you're right enough. To be fair, the Khaleesi one's right in front of the sticks, pretty sure. But anyway, back to the point. Is this another flaw in Bokkes' game? See, when you're that far ahead or leading a game, and then the opposition team start to climb back into it. As a 10, the game manager, do you keep trying to turn it on to try to go further ahead, or do you maybe go and play a bit more conservative rugby and maybe play the territory battle, or even play the possession battle? It's maybe that halfback pairing of Grant Williams and Lebock was most definitely for me isn't that kind of pairing. When you've got a Faf de Klerk, even a Cobus Reinach, and like a Pollard, and then they are the kind of players that can turn it on when needed, but also when situations like that was happening, when Australia were coming back at a rapid speed, that's when you want your 9 and 10 to really slow it down and really control the game and to kind of take the momentum out of the opposition. I feel like South Africa were way too late. They didn't do it at all, and even if they were trying, it was way too late. By that point, Australia were gone, and there was South Africa chasing the game. As they were chasing the game, things got sloppy. The most kind of like accurate kind of evidence to back that would be the Tom Wright try just at the end there to put it literally clear out of sight. It was brilliant line break initially, but then over the top to Esterhazen. Esterhazen just spilled the ball straight into Tom Wright's hands, and from his own like 22 almost, just darted through defence, sidestepped Lebock, who come on for Lebock, who done a lot better there. Like, Tom Wright almost came to a complete standstill and still managed to sidestep him. And yeah, so that for me, it wasn't Lebock, it was no, it was Lebock. And for me, that's when it kind of shows a flaw in your halfback pairings game. I wouldn't say inexperienced; they've been about for a while now, but maybe just not proper game managers. Possibly players to come off the bench when you're trailing that game. They would be the kind of best suited for that. But in terms of a teams coming back at you like Australia were, nah. I think you need a Pollard and either a Faf de Klerk on the bench or even start.
I don't know. I think the game at the weekend was certainly unprecedented for South Africa. I don't think they've ever been in a situation like that before. And as I alluded to, I would say only the likes of maybe Peter Steph-Toit could come out with his head held high and be like, yeah, I did my job. Maybe Bongi and Benambi starting rather than coming off the bench. I think the momentum was gone by that point, and to be honest, and I mean, I was going to touch on it earlier, maybe earlier now than what I was going to, but I think that's where Rassie Erasmus held his hands up and was just like, yeah, it's my fault. And I think he got his game plan terribly wrong, and I think he really grossly underestimated how good Australia were going to be.
I think so, 100%. I'll always kind of link back to it. Australia just lost the Lions by 1 point on aggregate, and they also actually diminished in that third test. So I'll completely just like not go back to the Lions, which is a few weeks ago now. It's kind of old news, but the point still stands. James O'Connor, and we kind of touched on this off camera, but we can elaborate now. James O'Connor, I was delighted to see him back. A kind of discussion like why was he poured into this game, but when you could have called upon him for the Lions when Loseo got injured, why was he not called up then? But he's been called up for this against the Bokkes. What's do you think Joe Smith's kind of thought process, if anything? I really didn't understand it, but obviously worked for this game. But I think Joe Smith might be looking back now and thinking, what if with the Lions, if a bit more experienced 10, because James O'Connor's been about the block. He knows rugby. He's played so many different leagues. He's played in the Australian League. I could be wrong. He's played in Japan possibly. He's played for New Zealand in same league as Australian Super Rugby. He's also played in England, and I dare say he's potentially played in France, but he's definitely played in England as well. He's been about, and he's learned different kind of game styles. And again, when it comes to slowing games down and turning it on, he's been with halfback pairings that have kind of done it all. I kind of think when he was named in the team, I was very excited to start with. Also, on a sentimental kind of point, it was very nice to see him. I mean, the story he's had, the journey he's had, in and out, up and down like a yo-yo into that Australia team. It just depends on the coach. It's been quite phenomenal. But I think he proved himself on Saturday. I was really happy to see him starting, and hope he starts again next week.
Yeah, you kind of finished all that off without needing me to say anything there.
Rhetorical question. Say less. Going on to next week, though. what you kind of thinking? It's in Johannesburg, I believe.
That is the mad thing as well, because yeah, let's just break down as well how big a win this was for Australia. That was the first time they've won at Ellis Park in like over 60 years, and it was at altitude. This comeback, this historic, like once in a lifetime comeback, was won at altitude. I'm even struggling to fathom how big a win this was for them right now. I can see why and this was his own words. Erasmus came out and said, "Oh yes, it's all my fault. I take the blame. But we were dog shit today." I'm like, yeah, you can't really say that and expect to save face with the players. He came out and described the Springboks as dog shit at the weekend.
They're just playing a game plan. Honestly, they're playing a game plan which they've been told to do. When you play at that elite level, then I'm sorry if you've been told to do something. Yeah. So for me, it's Rassie Erasmus completely to blame. Is ego surely, but you can't keep blaming. You can't blame his own players. They'll soon turn against him. If it's going to be that case. But sour grapes nonetheless. But by the by, really sorry.
But to answer your question, I don't think lightning will strike twice. I think there will be a humongous rocket put up their arse. I cannot think of South Africa losing again to Australia. Regardless of how good or whatever place both teams are in, South Africa will be really up for this game, and they will be so much better at the breakdown for more than just 20 minutes at this game. They will be flying out the blocks. You will see big hits everywhere. And Cheslin Colby will be back, so they'll definitely win.
I think there'll be a strong. You alluded to their Kobe's back, but there'll be definitely a stronger squad. I feel whether that's Sasha starting at 10, Faf de Klerk or Reinach at 9. Who else miss will Kobe himself? If Damian Willemse or Willie LaRue at 15. I think there will be some changes. Dalendi at 12. I think there'll be some changes of players that you know they can count upon in the big stage at that top class, world class level. So I agree with you. I think that the Bokkes will bounce back quite well, unfortunately. But I think Australia again will still give them a good game. They'll be up and optimistic and full of confidence. And again, probably the sharpest team in this championship. But now it's one game done, the rust has been kind of shaken off by the Bokkes. I think they should be a lot stronger coming to next week. And I can't see them winning. I wouldn't say by a landslide, but I think it'll be, in the end, it might be bordering comfortable.
I think, like you alluded to earlier, well, you know, was it the Bokkes that were that bad, or was it the Wallabies that was that good? And I think it was more well, I say it again, I think it was unprecedented. Like, players like Bongi and Benambi, they're only ever had to go and win these big games that are so tight, like maybe a try or something from behind, and they've never had to properly like repel and like the enemy counter-attacking. Is basically the point I'm trying to make, and I
get what you're saying.
I wouldn't say that the Springboks were totally weakened, because you had Curtly Aarons, Jesse Creel, Etzebeth, Steph Detroit, Oxenche, all of the Khaleesi, all of these big players. Like starting. I think Khaleesi was struggling with a niggle. I think that's why he came off. Yeah, they will be up for it, and it'll be a total scrap, but I do think they will win.
Fair. Moving on to the Argentina vs All Blacks game.
I have a question for you before we move on, though.
Well, go on, please, test me.
These Wallabies needed time, that was clear as day, to get settled in. And it was obviously a big transitional phase when Eddie Jones came in.
Yeah.
He got the ball rolling, and yes, Australia were dog shit last year in the Rugby Championship, and even worse at the World Cup.
Yeah.
But does Eddie Jones not get any credit for his work, or does Joe Schmidt rightly take all the praises?
I think what Eddie Jones was trying to do was, I think he expected to be in a lot longer than he was. That's a given. Because he was flooding out players like some Michael Hooper, who's an Australian legend, who still had years left in him, but a couple of years anyway left in him, and he was really trying to back the young potential players with not very little experience. I think Smith has kind of found a good blend of both, and so I guess Eddie Jones started it. However, I don't think it was. I think it would have taken longer for Eddie Jones to reach a top quality level that was be able to beat the Bokkes compared to Joe Schmidt, who has a kind of bit of both experience and high caliber potential players. And that's just me. Okay, a lot of these players have had a couple of years. It really does help Joe Schmidt's case for sure. For a couple of years to really give it a crack. And learn, engage, experience. So to answer your question, it's one of them. It's like you just kind of live guessing and like because you don't actually know because you don't actually know fully. I'm gonna say partly. I think Eddie Jones is partly as a part kind of thanks, but I'm not going to give him too much credit because the way he treated some of the players and the way he's treated players in the past, it's just not for me. And he's not my kind of. I wouldn't like to be coached by him. Let's just say that.
Fair enough.
But Joe Smith, I think he is a man for the job for me.
Yeah, he is definitely proved his
Yeah.
worth. I did watch a bit of a clip somewhere, and it was just like, oh, well, Eddie Jones got the ball rolling. I was like, I don't know. Let's have about that.
When's Scotland offering Smith as the £1 million contract?
I put it onto Twitter, and surprisingly, it didn't blow up. But I'm just like, why are Scotland not going for Joe Schmidt? He's leaving Australia at the end of the Rugby Championship.
Yeah.
Townsend is out of contract at the end of the Six Nations. Just get something organised, lads. Come on.
Too much money. Yeah. But I would love Joe Smith. I think this kind of brand of rugby, again, it's just he knows when to kind of simplify it and when to actually play, which I've shown against likes of the Bokkes. He's played probably four of the most difficult kind of tests he's going to kind of face this year. Three of which being the Lions and one of them being the Bokkes. Well, plus next week as well. So yeah, he's a good fellow, Mr. Schmidt. Good fellow. Right, All Blacks.
Yeah, let's move on.
Excellent. Right, a few notes from here. Well, to start with, Pumas 24, All Blacks 41. I guessed that it ought to be a lot tighter. So did you. I thought 7 points or something like that, or 8 points ish, 9 maybe. And you were quite the same in that regard as well. Never mind, what's that? A good 13, 14 points difference? Is a fair difference. A comfortable win by the All Blacks in the end. Players that stood out for me, well, Will Jordan. I've got to bang it like a drum. Will Jordan, absolute machine. I don't think he scored this game, but he assisted one of them at least. Very, very, very good sidestep on him, as we all know. But again, he doesn't just do it against forwards, he does it against backs, he does it against everybody in every kind of aspect, like part of the pitch. Barrett again, I thought he did all right. His goal kicking was phenomenal. I thought his brother Jordy Barrett would be kicking, but no, Bowden kind of stayed firm and he took the reins in that regard and did superb. Chocobares and Cynthia, though, for Argentina. I've said it before for a while. Chocobares of Toulouse and Cynthia of Saracens. I generally think they're probably top five, if not top three, best centre partnerships in the world just now. I really rate them, and I think without them in the midfield for the Pumas, they would be a lot further away. Let's just say that and wouldn't be competing against these top teams in the Rugby Championship. So I was quite impressed with them. But they're the kind of players that stood out for me, being completely honest. I only managed to watch parts of the game. I mean, it was late at night. I fell asleep, admittedly fell asleep, with it being like back at 10. They kicked off in our UK time. But catching up and everything, again, it looked like an enthralling game. What about yourself, my man?
I did start watching it, but the problem was I had kind of really enjoyed the victory for Australia, so I maybe celebrated a little bit too hard. So by about half an hour, I was scunner to watching it, and I wanted to get some music on. I wasn't surprised about the result. I mean, fair enough. Argentina have got a couple of good players or whatever, but the All Blacks had a superior team.
Yeah.
And I think they were just like, right, we've got a chance here with what happened with the Bokkes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they laid down a marker. Yeah, I wasn't surprised that they won.
Severis also had a very good game. I was quite impressed with Severis being back in the mix, especially with the back three kind of winger position being so competitive with the All Blacks. I was quite impressed with Severis. But you're right, yeah. Look, the All Blacks are the All Blacks at the end of the day. Albanos, the Argentinian 10, Albanos, I'm convinced his name is. Again, decent. Nice little left foot he's got as well. Left. It's almost like Carter-esque, minus being a Kiwi, and maybe not nowhere near as good. But he's got that kind of trait, and that left boot's quite nice and refreshing to see a fly half with a left peg. Yeah, no, good handy player. Obviously, it wasn't enough on this instance, but there's always next week, which we'll get onto just now. Predictions for next week. What are you thinking? Start with the Pumas. I'll start with the Pumas game. So now we just went on about it.
Yeah. I think the All Blacks will win again, probably by 5. And just to touch on it very briefly, I think they actually managed to repel a counter-attack from Los Pumas during the game, so to speak, whereas that's obviously something that the Springboks couldn't do.
I think it'll be the All Blacks by 15 again. I think dominance will shine through again. Too strong. Just the quality. And Scott Barrett, the captain, the skipper back, Scott Barrett, same with Ardy Surveyor. It's just, I just can't see a way through. I mean, Argentinian back was strong, but how long can they stay strong for? They try to defend against players like that and get around the park like that, being that kind of corner fodder. So I'm going to say All Blacks by 15. Bokkes vs Australia. We've kind of touched on it already, but let's give an accurate scoreline. I'm going to say
Bokkes by 10.
By 10.
Yeah.
I did say they'll win borderline comfortably. I'm going to say 8. 8 points. And it's going to come late as well. That's my prediction, which will be very interesting to see. I've not checked the time of the games yet, but I assume they'll be probably very similar at times. Maybe I know probably be about the same times actually. Yeah. So that's kind of fine. Hopefully I'll manage to stay up for them all this time. Nice one. So that's that. That's it locked in. Happy days. Okay, so I want to touch on one last thing before we go, and this is about the Newcastle, formerly known Newcastle Falcons, now known as Newcastle Red Bulls, and their financial takeover by Red Bull. First and foremost, I'm going to say I am really glad, because it'll shut you up and stop you whining about how shit Newcastle are and how much they need to go down. And how it should be a playoff game. I don't think that'll be an issue for them anymore. I think it's going to be an issue for another team now. This takeover is quite incredible. They've already started signing some quality players, and they're linked to like some of the biggest superstars in the world, which I'll mention in just a second. But already they've got Tom Christie, they signed from Crusaders, a 2-year deal. Tom Christie was a starter for Crusaders, and that's one of the best teams in New Zealand. Starter as well. Let's just mention that, a starter. They signed Amunaki Mafi, the Japanese number 8 back row. He famously assisted that winning try against the Springboks in the 2015 World Cup. So he's been about the block. He's got a bag of experience. He's now there. Jamie Hodgson is signed, the second rower. I know, just strengthening, let's just get more strength and depth. A player that will be there every game week. Bless you, Andy. Be there every game week. He's not quite touched on the international squad just yet, or not kind of prolifically. So he'll be there most weeks, especially come the Six Nations time. He could be very, very important there too. That's what I've kind of noticed with all these players that have signed. It's players that are not necessarily all international players, so they should be there for like a big chunk of the season, which will come really handy come like the Six Nations kind of time, and not just Six Nations time round in particular. That's when the kind of crunch happens and some teams start to kind of tail off. Rumours though, some rumours is we've got Louis Zamet, so Zamet Lightning, and they've got a heavy rumour. Being honest, well, actually that's a lie.
I was waiting to say, because Louis Zamet has signed the Bears.
Yeah, he's signed for Bristol Bears, so that's complete dog shit, Zav. Fucking update your notes. But he signed for Bristol Bears, which again, I was actually very surprised he signed for Bears. I'll come back to that. Jack Noel, you got Jack Noel, and you know why I think Jack Noel be such a, and this could just be complete conspiracy. But Jack Noel wears a Red Bull cap, so in theory, is he already sponsored by Red Bull? And do you think you could get kind of pulled up? Put your hands in your face.
That's the shittest conspiracy theory I think I've ever heard of.
I've heard it in plenty of places, but he's sponsored by Red Bull. So do you think they'll try pull him over as well? I think they might. He's playing in France just now for La Rochelle. He might fancy a big money move back to England, seeing how he is English. You never know. Watch this. I am hoping that he signs for Newcastle Red Bulls now. Here's another one you might think's even more bonkers. Sia Khaleesi.
I did see that rumour, but the only problem was he wanted to go back to South Africa, so that's why he went to the Sharks.
Yeah, I can't see it happening, but at the end of the day, money talks. And the last one, which I don't know if will happen now, because I see he was playing for the All Blacks just the other day. Well, let me give my method behind my madness here. It's Finlay Christie, the scrum half for the All Blacks. Now, the reason I say that is because he's actually eligible, or was eligible, to play for Scotland through a grandparent, or parent or grandparent.
He was also born in Scotland.
There you go. Because of that, and he wasn't playing for the All Blacks for quite some time, a good couple of years anyway, I was coming on to it. He's still very young, and he could have, I dare say, came back to UK, played in rugby back in the UK, then been able to play for Scotland again through the eligibility rules and whatnot. However, he was just cut up again against Argentina, so that's not going to happen. So I can't see that transfer happening, signing happening either. I just don't see it. But it would be a very good one. But as I say, they've already signed a few. They signed more. Honestly, this could like just spending like wildfire just now. So it's nice to see that assuming they'll do well this season with the kind of quality players they've got. But at the same time, is it a bad thing for rugby? Is it kind of putting rugby in a kind of different light, which we're not kind of used to seeing?
Sorry, I was seizing up my cramp there. That's why I'm moving.
I said, is it a bad thing for rugby, this kind of financial takeover by Newcastle? Or is it going to kind of spur other teams on, or is it just maybe just a one-off, or what do you think? Is it a good thing?
The investment is obviously a good thing, but I'm hearing talk that they're on about getting rid of the promotion relegation thing. Not that they have been doing it anyway, but I've heard it so well it's going to attract more investment and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, there's no... That's my biggest pet peeve about it, is they're potentially wanting to get rid of the most sporting part about it all. Mm-hmm. Be like, we want to get rid of promotion relegation because it could hurt sponsors. And I'm like, no, that's not how this works. More investment is obviously a fantastic thing, especially when Newcastle are rumoured to have about £39 million in debt.
Yeah, that would have been tricky. That would have been very tricky. So that's been cleared and more. So I guess a nice thing. You don't want to see another English team going under. There's already been 3 big ones, and you don't have a 4th. So I guess in that aspect, it is a good thing. On to Zammit though. Zammit for the Bears. For the Bears, not for Newcastle. For the Bears. Did you see that signing coming?
I'm afraid not.
No.
That's Lewis Rees-Zammit roaring back into rugby.
Yeah. Do you think he'll be a success? Not just with the Bears, but just like, do you think in terms of rugby itself, do you think he'll be a sharp, or do you think it's been too long out the game?
I don't think he's been too long out the game. He's younger than us, I think, and he's already been on like a Lions tour.
Oh, he's 24 or 25.
Yeah, fuck me. I feel old now. I'm not sure if he will return to the level that he was at when he first burst onto the scene in 2021. However, that doesn't mean to say that he's not going to get up to a sublime level. I think Bristol will certainly earn their money back with him performing most of the time.
He'll bring it. He'll put bums on seats. He does suit Bristol's kind of brand of rugby. Like, I mean, you've got Ibitoy, Revalvo, and Zammit as options on the wings. That's pretty nuts, if you ask me. I think if you ask most people, to be honest. But he definitely suits it. Open kind of play, lots of running, expansive rugby, and yeah. I think because of the background of the NFL, it's very athletic and whatnot, which again is very, like, the Bears are a very athletic team. Don't shake your head, please.
NFL is utter shit. I would rather watch football, proper British football. I would rather watch Aberdeen play football than watch NFL.
That is a hard watch, to be fair. But the NFL, yeah, that is a hard watch as well. But no, athlete-wise, in terms of the conditioning, he'll still be there. He'll be very fit, but it's just, and handling as well. His position was like a wide receiver, which was handling whatever like that, but catching the ball and everything at speed. It'll be the rest of it, and it'll be like just getting back into the kind of game systems and everything like that. Might take a minute, but that could just be expected. But I think the Bears will be quite confident as well, and if not, like you say, like a merchandise kind of financial point of view, they'll make it back. Even whatever super money they're paying them, they'll make it back over time. I'd say quite quickly as well. Again, they'll put lots of bums on seats, especially with first few games. Lots of bums on seats. You'll get the attraction from some Welsh fans or Welsh folk coming over. Just got to remember, Bristol is just a hop, skip and a jump across from Wales, so there'll be a lot of attraction coming from Wales as well. So it can only be a good thing, in my opinion. Yeah,
and I mean, you never know, like, what all he's landed in his 18 months out in America, because he may get his brains picked about, is there anything that they do out in the States that we could maybe be doing here, kind of thing.
Oh, I'm sure he's been asked plenty already.
Yeah, definitely. Steve Tandy.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's maybe one person that's asked him. But no, it's very interesting to see how it's going to go. I'm hoping he does well, nonetheless, but I'm sure he will. No, well, that's everything for me for this episode. What about yourself, Andy? Is that you all good?
I'm all good.
Excellent, great stuff. Thank you for tuning in. Rugby Championship on this weekend. Stay tuned for it. I mean, it's got to be exciting. The Bokkes will be looking for blood. I think the Pumas they'll maybe try. I don't think they'll succeed. I think that All Blacks will be too strong. But this Bokkes Australia game has got to be an absolute cracker, in my opinion. I can't wait to be sitting down watching it this weekend. Hopefully, it's much of the same excitement. It'd be pretty hard to top, but a man can hope and a man can dream. Okay then. Right. Thank you for watching. Follow us on TikTok, on Twitter, also on YouTube, or Twitter X, on YouTube. Subscribe, comment, get involved, give your predictions underneath in the comments and whatnot. And yeah, just join in with the crack. Okay. Thank you very much. That's all from me. That's all from Andy. See you later in the next one.
Bye. Be sure to tell us all about your conspiracy theories in the comments too.
Fuck off.